Alright, so this is a test, and for this test I'll be going over a part of what has been going on in relation to the chamber judgment in the case of ESV Austria, application number 38450-12, in which the European Court of Human Rights held that there was no violation of Article 10 when it comes to the conviction of a woman referred to as ES for disparaging religious doctrines. The long and short of it is to be found in this little box right here, which I will not read out right now, because the main thing I'd like to point out right here in this little screen test is the facts. More than that, the layering of the facts. And you'll get to understand what I mean very shortly. So this document right here, the first one that I'm referring to here, is the press release, which is what most of the articles that have come out in mainstream media and online media have been working off of. There is, however, another document with notes regarding case law in regards to this particular case, and there's also the full judgment document by the European Court of Human Rights, available only in English. And if you go over the facts as presented in each of these documents, the story gets more and more interesting. So, we're going to start with the principal facts as laid out in the press release document right here. Principal facts. The applicant ES is an Australian national who was born in 1971 and lives in Vienna in Austria. In October and November 2009, Mrs. S held 2 seminars entitled Basic Information on Islam, in which she discussed the marriage between the Prophet Muhammad and a 6-year-old girl, Aisha, which allegedly was consummated when she was 9. Inter alia, the applicant stated that Muhammad liked to do it with children and a 56-year-old and a 6-year-old. What do we call that if it is not pedophilia? On 15 February 2011, the Vienna Regional Criminal Court found that these statements implied that Muhammad had pedophilic tendencies and convicted Mrs. S for disparaging religious doctrines. She was ordered to pay a fine of 480 euros and the cost of the proceedings. Mrs. S appealed, but the Vienna Court of Appeal upheld the decision in December 2011, confirming in essence the lower court's findings. A request for the renewal of the proceeding was dismissed by the Supreme Court on 11 December 2013, at which point she started her proceedings with the European Courts of Human Rights, which were denied. Those were the facts of the case as they have been stated there. A little bit more details get mentioned aside in the rest of this document, but as they said, those are the principal facts. The title says so itself. Alright, so then if we turn to this document, European Court of Human Rights, Information Note on Courts Case Law 2222. As regards the case ESV Austria, there you go. Regarding the judgment, Section 5, Article 10, 10.1, freedom of expression, criminal conviction and fine for statements accusing the Prophet Muhammad of pedophilia. No violation. And here we have another section labeled Facts. Let's go over that real quick. The applicant held seminars with the title Basic Information on Islam. That's not new information. Then we have some new information at the right-wing Freedom Party Education Institute. At one such seminar referring to a marriage which Muhammad had concluded with Aisha, a 6-year-old, and consummated when she had been 9, she stated in Alia, Muhammad liked to do it with children. The thing with Aisha and child sex and a 65-year-old and a 6-year-old. What do you call that? Give me an example. What do we call it if it is not pedophilia? In 2011, as a result of these statements, the applicant was convicted of disparagement of religious precepts pursuant to Article 188 of Criminal Code. She was sentenced to pay a fine. The domestic courts made the distinction between child marriages and pedophilia. In their opinion, by accusing Muhammad of pedophilia, the applicant merely sought to defame him without providing evidence that his primary sexual interest in Aisha had been her not yet having reached puberty, or that his other wives or concubines had been similarly young. In particular, the applicant had disregarded the fact that the marriage with Aisha had continued until the Prophet's death, when she had already turned 18 and had therefore passed the age of puberty. So a little bit of new information there. We get some more information on the case itself, which is, well, interesting in and of itself. Some interesting shit there, some interesting choices of language. For instance, acquiescent I'd say, but the most interesting, most damning part here is just this simple fact. They included the fact that these seminars were held at the right-wing Freedom Party Education Institute. Just mentioning that this was held at the Freedom Party Education Institute, that's one thing. Mentioning that the Freedom Party is a political organization, that's another thing. But just plastering the label right-wing on there, I'm wondering what a number like that is doing in a European Court of Human Rights document. I find it very strange, and it seems, well, I would like to say it's out of place, but the thing is, it's not like you can expect anything else from these fuckers. It's absolutely ridiculous. Here, a little further, when I go to law, as for the unpunished statements, the seminars have been widely advertised to the public on the internet via leaflets sent out by the head of the right-wing Freedom Party. It's like, why? The Freedom Party. Alright, that's another level of facts. So we have the we have everything we had before. What is that? So it's not okay to say these things which are relatively common knowledge. Alright, so basically this was, so right now we have this, in the first document we were told she held two seminars called Basic Information on Islam, where she said a couple of things, and for those things she was convicted. There's a little bit of a leap there, apparently, one would say, as in, why was she, who, well, a lot of questions arise, and answers to those will follow soon. In the second document, we found that apparently there were some ideological precepts involved here, or ideological motivations involved here, which we can deduce from the fact that it's been literally mentioned that this happened at a right-wing institute. But all of this will become very clear and come to a head when we take a look at this document right here. The actual judgments, well, the fifth section of the judgment on the case of ES versus Austria. So this is about procedure, which is basically like what happened, who's representing who. The facts. This will go in, this whole section is not something I'm going to go into right now, well, not later sections anyway, because it goes into great detail on the court's decisions. But when I'm saying the courts, I mean that in a plural sense. The Vienna Regional Criminal Court, the Court of Appeals, and the Supreme Court, as well as the European Court of Human Rights. So, the facts. 1. The circumstance of the case. Paragraph 6. The applicant was born in 1971, lives in Vienna. From January 2008, she held several seminars entitled Basic Information on Islam, Grundlagen des Islams, at the right-wing Freedom Party Education Institute, Bildungsinstitut der Freiheitlichen Partei Österreichs. The seminars were open not only to the members of the Freedom Party or invited guests, but were also publicly advertised on its website. In addition, the head of the Freedom Party, HCS, had distributed a leaflet specifically aimed at young voters. advertising them as top seminars in the framework of a free education package. The applicant had not been involved in the selection of participants. Two of the seminars were held on 15 October and 12 November 2009 with around 30 participants at each. And now we're getting to it. One of the participants was an undercover journalist working for a weekly journal. And is named or she's given here, or he's given here. 9. At the journal's request, a preliminary investigation was instituted against the applicant, and on the 11th of February 2010, she was questioned by the police concerning certain statements she had made during the seminars, which had been directed against the doctrines of Islam. So, journalists went undercover to a seminar held in a right-wing educational institute or whatever at